Law enforcement agencies say neighborhoods across Fort Worth are a whole lot safer tonight after an aggressive operation to combat violent crime.
America, we just witnessed one of the largest gang crackdowns in Texas history, and the results are absolutely staggering. Operation Showdown in Fort Worth led to 76 arrests and the seizure of 287 firearms, many equipped with illegal machine gun conversion devices, and enough fentanyl for 240,000 deadly doses. But here's what should terrify every American. 8 of those arrested were illegal immigrants with suspected ties to Tren de Aragua, Venezuelan transnational criminal organization that has been taking over American cities. This wasn't just a local gang problem. This was a foreign criminal organization operating on American soil while our federal government did nothing to stop them.
They are no longer out there peddling their guns and their drugs.
Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, Nancy Larson, talking about the 76 individuals arrested in the 60-day joint undercover crackdown, given the name Operation Showdown.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly shows what happens when you have real law enforcement working with federal partners who actually want to enforce the law instead of the catch and release policies that we've been dealing with for the past 4 years. Let me break this down for you. Operation Showdown was a 60-day joint undercover operation that targeted 5 hotspot areas in Fort Worth where guns and drug trafficking were out of control. Acting U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson made it clear these criminals are no longer out there peddling their guns and drugs because law enforcement finally decided to do their job.
Areas of Fort Worth with high crime rates were targeted in a 2-month initiative called Operation Showdown. 76 people were arrested on firearm and drug crimes.
This wasn't just about local gang activity. Federal partners included the DEA, the ATF, and U.S. Marshals worked with Fort Worth police to identify areas with notably high violent crime rates. And what they found should alarm every American. Foreign criminal organizations operating with impunity in American cities. The numbers from Operation Showdown are absolutely mind-blowing. 287 firearms seized, many equipped with illegal machine gun conversion devices that turn regular handguns into fully automatic weapons. We're talking about fully automatic weapons being used by gang members in American streets.
287 firearms were seized, many equipped with illegal machine gun conversion devices. Also recovered 22 kilograms of drugs, including heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl.
The amount of fentanyl alone was enough for 240,000 deadly doses. That's enough poison to kill the entire population of Fort Worth twice over. Think about this. One operation in one city seized enough fentanyl to kill 250,000 Americans. This shows the scale of the drug crisis that we're dealing with. And it's being driven by foreign criminal organizations that Biden's open border policies allowed to flourish. Speaking of a foreign criminal organization taking advantage of vulnerable Americans, there's another group being systematically targeted and exploited every single day, and that is our seniors dealing with the Medicare system. Look, these Venezuelan gangs are sophisticated. They study American systems, find weaknesses, and exploit them for profit. That is exactly what is happening in the Medicare industry. Predatory insurance companies study Medicare's complexities, find confused seniors, and exploit them for massive commission checks. But here's the thing, just like Fort Worth needed federal partners who actually wanted to fight crime, seniors need Medicare partners who actually want to fight for them. And that's where Chapter comes in. Chapter's licensed advisors are like having your own personal task force against Medicare predators. They don't work for the insurance companies, they work for you. No hidden agendas, no commission schemes, just somebody actually fighting to get you the best coverage for the lowest cost. Here's what I love about Chapter. They treat Medicare like the serious decision that it is. They dig into your specific situation, understand your doctors and medications, then build a strategy to save you money while protecting your health. The average person saves over $1,000 per year when they have somebody actually advocating for them. Just like Operation Showdown removed threats from Fort Worth neighborhoods, Chapter removes confusion and predatory tactics from your Medicare decision. They make it simple, honest, and completely free. If you're 65 or approaching Medicare eligibility, don't let Medicare predators exploit your confusion. Get somebody fighting for you. Check out Chapter at askchapter.org/Tyson or call 270 467-0614. When everybody else is trying to take advantage of you, you need somebody who's actually on your side. Now, speaking of people who need somebody fighting for them, let me tell you about the Venezuelan gang connections that should terrify every American. Here's where the story gets really disturbing. Of the 76 people arrested, 8 were in the country illegally, and many have suspected ties to Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan transnational criminal organization that has been terrorizing American cities.
Many of the individuals arrested in this operation are convicted violent felons. Others are in our country illegally and have suspected ties to the Venezuelan transnational criminal organization, Tren de Aragua.
Tren de Aragua isn't some local gang. This is a sophisticated international criminal organization that's taken over apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, terrorized communities in New York City, and now we find them operating in Fort Worth, Texas. This is what happens when you have open borders and no immigration enforcement. These aren't people seeking asylum or looking for a better life. These are hardened criminals who came to America specifically to continue their criminal operations. They brought their violence, their drugs, and their weapons to American communities, and they've been operating with impunity under Biden's policies. Let's talk about what law enforcement found during these raids. Many of these 287 firearms were equipped with illegal machine gun conversion devices, small pieces of metal or plastic that convert semi-automatic handguns into fully automatic weapons. These devices are often called Glock switches or auto sears, are flooding American streets from China and being used by gang members to turn regular handguns into weapons capable of firing 1,200 rounds per minute. One firearm seized during the operation was found to have been used at a shooting just 3 hours before it was confiscated. 3 firearms were directly connected to homicides.
Federal partners worked with Fort Worth police to identify areas across the city with noticeably high violent crime rates. A collaborative effort among DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, and local law enforcement.
This shows these weren't just gang members posturing with weapons. They were actively using these guns to kill people in American communities. What makes Operation Showdown so successful is the federal partnership that made it possible.
I came in, I said, we've got $300,000 extra of taxpayers' money. What's the best way we can use it? Everyone immediately said, let's go to Fort Worth.
This shows what happens when you have federal prosecutors who actually want to prosecute criminals instead of protecting them. The ATF, the U.S. Marshals, and local law enforcement worked together to identify the 5 hotspot areas where violent crimes were out of control. ICE was also involved in some of these apprehensions, which means they were actually doing their job of arresting and deporting criminal illegal immigrants instead of catch and release policies we saw under the Biden administration. The impact of Operation Showdown goes far beyond the arrest numbers. As one law enforcement officer put it, there are now neighborhoods where parents can freely let their kids have an afternoon play date in their front yard or apartment complex parking lot without the fear of a drug transaction happening.
It's very apparent that there are some neighborhoods where parents can freely let their kids maybe have an afternoon play date out in that front yard or in that apartment complex parking lot or community area without fear that a drug transaction is transpiring just a few parking stalls away.
This is what real public safety looks like when you remove violent gang members, illegal weapons, and massive quantities of drugs from neighborhoods. Families can actually live normal lives without fear. But the timing of this announcement is also significant. It came on the heels of a violent weekend in Fort Worth where 5 people were killed in 4 separate unrelated shootings. This shows that even with successful operations like this, there's still massive work to be done.
This announcement comes on the heels of a violent weekend in Fort Worth. 5 people were killed in 4 separate unrelated shootings this last Sunday.
Granted, one loss of life is too many, but unfortunately, whenever those things happen, I can tell you the Fort Worth Police Department is dedicated to continue the work to prevent those from occurring in the future.
America, Operation Showdown proves what we've been saying all along. When law enforcement is allowed to do their job and has federal support, they can make communities safer. 76 criminals off the streets, 287 weapons seized, and enough fentanyl for 240,000 deadly doses removed from circulation. But what should really concern us is the Venezuelan gang connection. 8 illegal illegal immigrants with ties to Tren de Aragua were operating in Fort Worth, bringing international criminal organizations to American soil. This is a direct result of Biden's open border policy that allowed foreign criminal organizations to establish operations in our cities. The good news is that these criminals will face real consequences. Their trials are scheduled to begin at the end of the summer or early fall. And with federal charges, they're looking at serious prison time instead of the revolving door justice we've seen in other cities. This operation also shows what's possible when federal agencies work together instead of being hamstrung by political correctness. The DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, ICE, and local law enforcement coordinated to target the most dangerous criminals in specific geographical areas. Fort Worth police are dedicated to continue this work, and with Trump coming back into office, they'll have federal support that actually wants to fight crime instead of enabling it. Every American should be asking, if Fort Worth can do this, why can't every other major city? The answer is simple: political will. When you have leaders who want to fight crime instead of coddle criminals, operations like this can become possible. I'll keep you updated as this case goes to trial, and remember, this is what happens when law enforcement is allowed to enforce the law. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next